Hello everyone, Irish Warlock here, and this video is a bit of a spontaneous one. I watched the recent Dragon Age Dreadwolf teaser, just like a quick 48-second video, but my head was filled with a bunch of ideas, so I thought, well, why not, let's just record a nice, quick, couple of minute video to put up and air these ideas out. I'm sure other people, especially some of the bigger Dragon Age creators out there, are having the exact same ideas and putting the exact same videos up. But I thought, why the hell not? I've already done one Dragon Age video for today, why not a second? So the entire video is just the camera spanning across the map of Thedas, specifically stopping on several different countries, with a bit of voiceover, which we're going to go through in just a second. So the first nation we see here is the nation of Antiva. Antiva is in the northeast of the continent, and it is a very mercantile, heavily focused nation, not really known for its army or its combat prowess. It's mainly known for its mercantile power, also mainly revolving around wine, and its biggest thing it's known for is assassins. Antiva is home to a group known as the Antivan Crows. We can actually see a crow here on the map there, kind of giving it away, over the city of Trevaso. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Trevaso is actually very important. It is on the northeast side of the nation, just a little bit north of the capital, which is Antiva City. But Trevaso is home to the Antivan Crows. It's where they were founded, it's where they trace their history back to. And from the recent book to Winter Nights, we know that Trevaso is actually occupied by the Qunari. For maybe those who aren't fully aware what's going on in Dragon Age at the moment, at the end of Dragon Age Inquisition Trespasser DLC, and kind of shown in the To Winter Nights book, the Qunari, specifically just the military branch, the other parts of them, specifically the priests and the mercantile classes, aren't supporting it. It's just the military have invaded mainland Thedas, and they have parts of Antiva under control, mainly Trevaso City. And in the book To Winter Nights, we actually follow a few Antivan Crows who are attempting to fight back. There's actually a few stories about the Antivan Crows in that book. One of them as well is about all the leaders of the Crows coming together to kind of plan how they're going to defend Antiva, because Antiva isn't a place of like war. They're not built for war. They're not built to fight back with an army. So the Crows, the assassins, have to be the ones to fight back, and obviously they're going to do that more from the shadows, which in one of the short stories we see it's the Crows essentially going around assassinating the leaders and running sabotage missions, basically because they don't really have any other way to fight. During this trailer, we also hear an Antivan Crow, a woman, talking.
We fight for everyone, and we always will. The Crows rule Antiva.
So yeah, we hear her say that she's going to fight for everyone, the Crows will always fight for everyone, and that the Crows rule Antiva. So yeah, that makes sense, kind of what we know about the Crows and what they're doing. We hear a few voices in this trailer, and I have two theories to go on. One, that these are our companions, so we're going to have an Antivan Crow companion. There has been some really cool art of an Antivan Crow character, who I think like the fandom has like nicknamed Antivan Crow Batwoman, which is really cool. Another idea that's going around is that Dragon Age Dreadwolf is going to bring back the origins that we had in Dragon Age Origins, and perhaps that each of these voices is the different origin that we're hearing. But yeah, that's just a theory. I kind of like that theory, but I think more it's the that's the companions. It makes a lot more sense that the companions would be focused on even just a little bit in this trailer to kind of help build this game up a bit more. Okay, so next we get Rivain. Rivain is another northeastern Thedas nation. It's actually to the northeast of Antiva. It is mainly surrounded by water, and it's described as having been surrounded by sapphire water. It's a very like pretty and beautiful area. It's only connected to the mainland by a very small part of land. We've had one character from Rivain, Isabella, and I think like it's one of the nations we know the least about, I think. One interesting thing we do know though is that the Qunari have a settlement on Rivain, like a stabilized settlement that they've had for a long time. Like the Qunari have been on Thedas for a few hundred years at this point. And at the start they tried to invade mainland Thedas and were kind of thrown back, and since then have been in kind of like an easy peace Cold War with the rest of Thedas, bar the Winter Imperium, which they've been constantly fighting with. But since those invasions, the Qunari Wars essentially, they've had one settlement in Rivain called Kontar, and I once again do not know if I'm pronouncing that right, but we'll see, which is in the northeastern part of Rivain, and is considered to be quite peaceful. Because of this settlement, Rivain has a lot of converts of its regular citizens to the Qun, which is very unique for any mainland Thedas nation. But also this makes a bit of sense because the Chantry, like the main human religion of Thedas, has a very weak presence in Rivain. Rivain has always been more into like its soothsayers and its fortune tellers and its spirit connection more than actually the organized church. The guy who's talking here says something quite interesting.
Glory to the risen gods. They've come to deliver this world.
So he says glory to the risen gods. Like the big now question going around is who is the risen gods? If you go back to the map of Rivain, we can actually see a giant squid there, which I think is a bit of a hint of who the risen gods actually are. I have 4 main guesses at the moment. The first is the Evanuris. The Evanuris are the elven gods. I won't go into massive detail of who the Evanuris are and what's going on with them, but essentially the Evanuris, they're the elven gods, but they're not really gods. They were powerful elven mages, very cruel and horrible people, like all things considered. Basically, so powerful they were considered gods, who ruled over the elves with an iron fist. And thousands of years ago, an unknown amount of time years ago, Fen Harel, who was our former companion Solus in Dragon Age Inquisition, sealed them away, and it seems he's planning on releasing them in an attempt to restore and rebuild elven civilization. So everyone in the fandom has an idea that that's going to be the main plot of the game, is the Evanuris being released, and it would make sense if these ridiculously powerful godlike beings came onto the world. People, not even elves, would just start worshipping them, because that's how like it kind of goes in a lot of settings. If it doesn't matter like what your faith is, if you see a powerful being that can bend reality more than even just regular magic in Thedas can, it would make sense that people would begin worshipping it. Another idea is it's the Titans, who are essentially, like, it's so hard to describe the Titans, and I don't really want to do a big long video on this, but the Titans are essentially these, I suppose, demigod like rock beings that live underneath the earth. Like they are literally mountains that move. They were at war with the Evanuris at one point. I don't think it's the Titans. I do think the Titans are going to play a part in Dreadwolf. I just don't think this is the Titans. Some people think it's the old gods, perhaps the old gods of the Tevinter Imperium, who eventually become the archdemons. Once again, I don't see it being them. The old gods do have a connection with the Evanuris, or at least a fan theory connection, which is just why I don't think it's them. I think it'd be better off being the Evanuris. The last theory I have, and it's the reason why I kind of look at that big squid on the map there, is that in some previous artwork for Dragon Age Dreadwolf, we saw these really massive like sea beasts that supposedly were going to fight or going to play a part in the game. Obviously this is a very old concept art, things could change, but if they're still around, kind of like the same with the Evanuris, you see a big powerful thing that is doing all this destruction, people will worship it. Like I'm thinking of King Kong, you know, on Skull Island, all those people worship King Kong as a god, even though he's just a big monkey, because to them he's the most powerful thing around, so he should be worshipped. So I wonder, especially for a big coastal nation like Rivain, when these massive like Cthulhu-esque sea monsters begin coming out of the ocean, destroying everything, of course cults are going to appear and start worshipping them, thinking that they're gods. Like my big guess is the Evanuris, but I do think these great sea beasts could actually be what they're talking about, is the risen gods, because they are risen from the sea. We've moved from one side of the continent to the other, still in the north, but now the Anderfels is in the northwestern part of the nation.
Grey Wardens don't hide in our castle. I won't ask good soldiers to turn tail and run.
It's a big area, and even though we've never been there in a game, it is very important to the lore of Dragon Age. It has appeared in some books, mainly the Last Flight book, which is kind of, I won't go into the Last Flight, but some of it takes place in the Anderfels. The Anderfels is the birthplace of the Grey Wardens, who are the Order who are dedicated to fighting the Darkspawn, who play a big part in all the Dragon Age games, but especially the first one, Dragon Age Origins. It's described as being a very harsh land and a very religious land. On the map there you can see a drawing of Andraste, and in the Anderfels there is this massive statue of Andraste. Just for anyone who's not aware, Andraste is the prophet and bride of the Maker, like the founder, or she's not technically the founder, she's the Jesus Christ figure of the Chantry religion. I mentioned that the Wardens are from the Anderfels. They play a big part in like daily life in the Anderfels. The Wardens are meant to be like non-political no matter where they are in the world, except in the Anderfels they're very political, with the like main head warden, like the top person in all the Order, being more of a political figure concerned with what's going on in the Anderfels than what's going on with the actual Wardens. A lot of people in the Anderfels also look to the Wardens for guidance, and it's kind of like been hinted at that they want the Wardens to actually take over and rule the Anderfels themselves. We know after Inquisition as well, there's more stuff going on with the Wardens. It seems they've split into two separate factions, and one from Orlais, which is the group we see in Inquisition, although that does more depend on your choices in Inquisition, and the one in the Anderfels. We do know from the book Tevinter Nights that all the Grey Wardens have essentially been recalled to the Anderfels. It makes sense that the Anderfels and the Wardens are going to play a part in the next game, especially since we know at least one Warden that is going to appear in the game. We know from a previous trailer there is actually a Warden character appearing. He's called Darvin. We know little to nothing other than his name, and he's being played by the actor Ike Amadi. So we know at least one Warden who's going to appear in Dreadwolf. And yeah, we can hear what is a Warden here talking about how the Wardens don't hide, they stand and fight. And to me, like, we only heard Ike Amadi talk as Darvin for a little bit back in the trailer, but that doesn't sound like him. So I guess there's going to be more than one Warden character. Maybe Darvin is a companion, while this guy we're hearing talking is someone else, just like another NPC or an advisor. I doubt we have two Warden companions. It wouldn't make much sense, but you know, we'll see.
All the world will soon share the peace and comfort of my reign.
Yeah, so the trailer ends there with some unknown person saying that the whole world will know the peace and comfort of his reign. Supposedly, I imagine that this is going to be our main antagonist / villain for Dreadwolf. Solus has kind of been set up from the Trespasser DLC and other stuff to be the villain. I've always thought that's been a bit of a red herring. It just makes sense, especially since Inquisition kind of set up that the Mage Templar conflict was going to be the main focus. By the end of Act 1, they pulled the rug out from under us and revealed that Corypheus is the main villain. So I guess this guy is the actual main villain. There's been a few theories I've heard from some people online already, and I have my own. I saw one or two people say it could be Corypheus coming back from Dragon Age Inquisition. Technically this could be possible because if Solus is about breaking down the veil and unleashing the Fade back into Thedas, essentially making Fade and Thedas one again. Corypheus was banished to the Fade. He could technically come back if the veil gets broken down. I don't think it's him. I would like to actually see Corypheus again in the next game. I think it would be quite interesting if he popped up. Be a bit interesting, just be quite interesting to see what's gone on with him and everything, but I hope he's not the main villain. Maybe just a small side antagonist we deal with, and it's more just like played off as an inconvenience. Everyone's like, oh my god, I can't believe we have to deal with that guy again. But anyway, could be interesting. I have two theories that I think this voice could be. The first is that it is one of the Evanuris, mainly Elganon. Elganon is the leader of the Evanuris. He is described as being like the worst of them all. So it would make sense that if the Evanuris come back, he would be the big bad villain of everything. I kind of wonder if the story is going to be the Evanuris coming back, Elganon is going to be our big bad villain, and all the other Evanuris that come back are like his supporters, his lieutenants, his generals, or maybe the Evanuris are involved in their own civil war, and our role is to stop all of them by any means necessary, but I suppose we'll see. My other theory is that it is the Dreadwolf. So, obviously the Dreadwolf is Solus, they are the same person, but I wonder if it's kind of like a split personality, dual mind kind of thing going on. I wonder if like the Solus we see and the Dreadwolf are technically like two different entities sort of co-inhabiting the same body kind of thing. Tevinter Nights had some stuff about Solus and the Dreadwolf, and it like just kind of implied that they're meant to be two different things. Like the Dreadwolf is more what Solus takes on when he's in the Fade, because it is actually a giant six-eyed wolf. We see that giant six-eyed wolf in Tevinter Nights. So I wonder if that's it. When the veil gets broken down, Solus and the Dreadwolf are separated from each other. Solus is then his regular self that we saw in Inquisition, and the Dreadwolf is the Dreadwolf then. It is this big monstrous creature that is trying to destroy the world, or is trying to save the world but in the process destroy it because he's trying to save it for the elves. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's most likely Elganon and the Evanuris who are going to be the villains, and that's Elganon's voice. They did have the Dreadwolf actually being the main villain, as was set up in Trespasser and Tevinter Knights, and in the other trailers. Would be quite nice that it's not like a red herring like Inquisition, but at the same time it could be a red herring, and it's not even much of a red herring because we all kind of think it's the Evanuris. The last bit of information we get is that we will get more information, a full reveal in the summer of 2024, which means we're probably not going to see anything at the Game Awards, which sucks. But honestly, I actually wasn't really expecting much at the Game Awards. I was expecting stuff here today on Dragon Age Day, which makes sense. So I guess that means then when is the release date? I guess the release date could be holidays 2024, like this time next year, and they're going for a very short marketing campaign, which I think would make sense. Short marketing campaigns do work quite well when they're done right, especially if you just kind of pile everything on and kind of show off a lot. Fallout 4 had a very short marketing campaign that I think worked very well in its favor. Like, it was announced at E3 and then they were like, okay, and it's coming out in a couple of months, so get ready. And I wonder if that's what they'll do then at some point. And maybe like EA Play, they'll show off some Dreadwolf stuff and then they'll be like, hey, it's December 2024, enjoy. After that, could be 2025. I do think 2025 is more likely, but I am fingers crossed hoping for 2024. Other than this, there is a blog post which I will link down in the description, which kind of goes a bit more into this trailer and some other stuff, including a cookbook and some of the artists involved in making Dragon Age Dreadwolf. So I think that's very interesting and worth a read. What do you guys think of this little trailer? I know kind of a lot of people were hoping for more. I was hoping for more, but honestly I was expecting just a trailer. Maybe a different trailer with a bit more substance, but I'm very, very happy with all this because there's a lot to take from it. And honestly, like, summer 24 is not that far off. We're early December at the moment. December is going to fly by because it always does, because it's, Christmas and New Year's. We got so much going on. And then it's, January, February, March, April, depending on where you are in the world. Summer starts in May, so I guess May, June or July. Probably July or whenever EA Play is. I think that's July is when we're going to see stuff. But like, yeah, we're not that far off. I know some people are like, oh my god, not till summer 2024, but summer 2024 is not that far away. I would love to do more Dragon Age videos going forward. I already have one which was a rough going over of the story of the world of Dragon Age. I'd love to do more deep dive lore videos and theories going forward once I get some of the Let's Plays out of the way, which I'm going to get back to. And as Dragon Age Dreadwolf gets more and more teased next summer, I will definitely be covering it all. And I'm going to try at some point to do a Let's Play of all 3 Dragon Age games, leading up to the release of Dreadwolf with a Let's Play of that. And those 3 Let's Plays being my canon save for Dreadwolf. But anyway guys, if you did like this video, do give it a like and a comment. It would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on everything I have. And of course, I shall see you all next time.